Hi everybody, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about mental health problems and acceptance. The acceptance around mental health, around the illness that you may be experiencing, which sometimes, a lot of the time at first, can be quite difficult. The acceptance there, having the acceptance, but learning to accept it can help you to live, like to be able to cope a bit better with it. And its acceptance in itself is like learning to live with it, really. But there is hope for people with mental health problems. There is recovery there, and by learning these techniques, learning to accept it, which I know I could understand is quite hard at first, because when the mind is suffering pain and suffering, it goes to your thoughts and your feelings. Sometimes the block goes there, the emotional block, which makes it that much difficult to express how you're feeling as well, like talking about how you're feeling because of the emotional block there, wondering what's going on. At first the acceptance is a bit difficult, and it can get easier, learning to accept the illness for what it is and creating a bit of understanding. You learn to create a bit of understanding around your illness, of how it affects you, the individual, because everybody's different and how their illnesses affect them, like the symptoms in itself. So it's all about a learning curve, really, but the acceptance is a big thing. And once you can accept it, it will enable you to move forward a bit, for that better, to go to that better place that you want to get to in your recovery. Not accepting, sometimes accepting things for what it is sometimes can hold back on a lot of things. But so this video is about accepting the illness in itself, creating a bit of understanding around the illness, because a lot of the time there's added gets thrown towards it, the added with the pain and suffering, like the anger, the hatred, the blame. And that in itself sometimes is where you sometimes you just can't accept it for what it is. So learning to create a new habit, you've got to think of like creating that new habit of learning to accept it and put away from that added, like the pain and suffering, the added that's laid on top, the hatred, the blame there, will enable you to be able to cope with it that much easier and help with your recovery as well. Because like I said, acceptance is a big thing, and it's a natural thing at first to think like that, not have the acceptance around it, because like I said, the mind gets confused. It takes a bit of time to actually start to be able to do that, but it's all about practice. The more you practice to try and do that, the easier it gets. And like I said, it takes away that added, and you start to create a new habit of doing that. So it enables you to move forward and improve your mental health and get to that better place where you want to get to. which will enable you then, the acceptance there enables you to learn to live with it. Like I said, it's learning to live with your illness. But like I said, the recovery's there. It doesn't have to be, at first it may be difficult. It may be difficult with the things you may be experiencing, and sometimes, you may get drawn to that non-acceptance there, the non-acceptance and not accepting it. But it takes, like I said, it do take time. But the benefits, there are benefits of doing that, because it's learning to let go of all the added that's laid on top, because a lot of the time it's all, it's like clinging on to, holding on to things, like clinging on to the added that's laid on top. It's learning to be mindful, learning mindfulness around it, learning mindfulness, around your illness, being mindful towards your illness is learning to accept it and learn to create a new habit of accepting it and helping with your recovery. Now, being mindful is, like, let's just say meditation is a good one. All right, meditation isn't for everybody, but you can get them up on YouTube. Maybe start small. They do ones on acceptance, learning to accept about your feelings and emotions, learning what's your mind as well, accepting it, understanding what is going on. It will help, and it will also as well, your confidence. It goes to many different things, like your confidence, learning on your building on your confidence as well, learning to be able to express how you're feeling. Once I've done a video about talking about the benefits of talking, expressing how you're feeling. It's a good thing, but sometimes afterwards, maybe when you first start out by doing it, it brings up a lot of stuff, like, because it brings it to the surface. But that's a good thing, because then it's bringing it out. It's not inside, it's you pushing it past that block, that emotional block that you have. You start to feel that shift there. There's a lot of benefits in that, but it's learning to let go of it. Let go of when it arises, letting it pass. So it's all about being mindful and learning the acceptance around it, the acceptance of what is going on with your feelings and emotions, because you can create a lot of understanding as well. You start to once you accept what is going on, you start to understand as well. You start to understand a bit more about your illness. There's a lot of benefits there. So like I said, meditation, start off small. It's start off small, build up to it. And they do talks. There's talks on mindfulness things. It's all about being mindful towards your illness, the acceptance there, but you've got to remember it takes a bit of time, because the mind, when it's suffering and suffering with pain, it's like trauma. The mind, it has to heal. So you have to give it time. You have to give your illness time to start to recover. And that's where the acceptance is, of being patient, basically, as well. Being patient around it. But you will get to where you want to get to, that place where you want to get to. Creating new habits of having other things in place, coping strategies that help as well. Having that acceptance there, you start to feel the benefit. You'll have many benefits from it, from you know, so this video was basically about learning to accept acceptance around your mental health, on how it affects you, and putting away from the added pain and suffering that is laid on top. So I'm going to end the video there. But before I end the video, I've got to say this. Today is the first day of the lockdown easing, which many of us will be, well, probably for all of us really, is probably a bit of relief. You know, first steps to coming out of the lockdown. Okay, they said we've got to be cautious, understandable. We're still in restrictions, but it's the first steps, you know, and a lot of people throughout the past year have been suffering with their well-being, their mental health. You know, start today with trying to get your life back on and get to that place. If you've been suffering, back to that place of where you want to get to. You know, the lockdown today easing, but just still be cautious. We still, like I said, we still got to be cautious, but it's a good time to start with your recovery if you've been, you know, finding it difficult throughout the restrictions, like many of us probably have. The weather's getting better, you know, just, it's a relief. And like I said, it's a relief for all of us there. The lockdown's starting to ease and so forth. So I just had to mention that because it is a good thing. It is a good thing. And, you know, just be patient with your mental health if you're suffering. If you've been suffering throughout this past year with a lot of problems going on, it will get easier, you know, and recover from whatever you've been experiencing, and just have that acceptance there of what it is, and you can do it, you can get through it. And that's a big thing. Like I said, acceptance is a big thing, but accepting it is a start to be able to learn to live with it better and be able to cope with it better. You can do it, you know, you can get through it. There is hope for mental health out there, you know, recovering and so forth. It doesn't have to be, you know, that, you know, if you're suffering really bad with it, it doesn't have to be like that, you know, for the rest of your life. Learning to accept it, starting recovery, will help enable you to cope with it. Like I said, cope with it that much easier. So I'm going to end the video there, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share this video because, like I said, many people out there are suffering and may find it difficult to accept what is going on with them. But like I said, learning to accept it will help in a big way. Just be patient with it. Just be patient and you will get to where you want to get to. And don't forget to give us a like.